All right.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time here today. We're hoping with this adult forum to introduce you to the Boy Scouts of America program that Emmanuel has been sponsoring for decades now.
Troop and the boys troop.
You'll have a chance to meet the leaders, learn more about the units, see some videos highlighting the activities. And by the end of this session, you have a good sense of the benefits this is providing to the youth, Emmanuel, and to our community through our partnership in Scouting. So here's a photo lineup of the unit leadership. Good morning, I'm Ted Sinknacht. I'm the Chartered Organization Representative. I act as Emmanuel's liaison to the 3 units that we currently are chartered to operate. Nancy Lyons is the Troop 987 Committee Chair. She oversees the operations of the Boys Troop and the Girls Troop. She's our CEO equivalent. Our COO equivalent, Steve Banowit, is here with us today. Welcome, Steve. Thank you. The Chris Hunter, our Girls Troop Scoutmaster, has also been active in the troop. And then on the pack side, Brian McCabe is the committee chair for the pack. Matt is their Cub Master, who again leads up the program delivery. And I see Russ Pitton is with us here today, which is great. He is our unit commissioner. He is a, think of him as an advisor and guide from the National Capital Area Council that helps us operate these units, helps bring resources to bear. So very glad to have Russ with us as well. So some of you might be wondering, why Scouts? Why are we even here talking about this at an Emmanuel adult forum? Well, the reason is we support Scouts because their mission aligns with ours. We've partnered with Scouts for more than 60 years by serving as this chartered organization. BSA charters organizations in the community that align with what BSA is trying to do with its program. I mentioned the 3 units we have: Boys Troop 987, which has been around again for the better part of those 60 years. Cub Scout Pack 97, which has been around for a good while, and then Girls Troop 97, which I'll talk more about soon, which was just recently formed. What we do as a charter organization is we provide the Scouts a place to meet, a place to house their gear, and we provide them a lot of other support. Scouting units are not legally incorporated entities. National Capital Area Council and Scouting is, Emmanuel is, and so effectively we end up papering the Scouts where they need to have some sort of legal basis to do things. So it's a very important role. But it's beyond just that logistical role. There's one of mission support that's most important. Through the service projects that Scouts do at the church, in the community, and elsewhere, we are giving back to the community. You know, God's work, our hands, is one of the phrases we think of in Emmanuel. And being active and visible together in the community can also help us as a draw to help people see the presence of what we're doing together. So some very powerful ways that this partnership works. So a little bit about the Boy Scouts of America, or BSA. The mission of the BSA is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes. And they do that by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law, which I'll share with you in a moment. This National Youth Program is really around character development. It is values-based leadership training. It's heavily outdoor focused. Through the process of learning how to camp, hike, swim, emergency preparedness, first aid, any number of other practical skills, the Scouts are also learning how to live and work ethically together, how to cooperate, and that mission value statement there, being prepared for life, really embodies much of what the Scout program is looking to do with our young men and women. At this time, the Scouting organization is around 2 million youth. We'll see what the numbers look like in the years to come, but with our program, I'm very proud to say that these Cub Scout Pack and the 2 troops are just doing very well, again, because of COVID, because we are staying active in a safe way, and we're delivering the program that these Scouts need for their mental health, for their physical health, and for their leadership development with everything that's going on. So for our purposes here today, there are some other BSA programs. You may have heard of Venturing or Sea Scouts, but the 2 that I'm going to focus on here are Cub Scouting. That's for boys and girls in kindergarten through 5th grade, and Scouts BSA, which is kind of the rebranded version of the Boy Scouts for young men and women in grades 6 through 12. So you heard this a moment ago. What is this about? I'm not going to unpack all of this for you, but the Scout Oath and the Scout Law are really the foundation. It's recited at every meeting. It's practiced in every event. That duty to God and my country is in many ways the cornerstone of scouting. that focus on being faithful to your own faith practices, no matter what they be, but making sure that you are developing in your faith and developing in your work as a citizen. And this concept of being a good citizen extends throughout Scouts. You see in the Scout law, things like being trustworthy, courteous, friendly, any number of these attributes apply to learning how to be a functioning and good member of society, to find ways to take care of each other, to contribute through your own actions, to be accountable for your actions, both in good and bad. Something that we might hear Steve or others talk about is that we try to make Scouts a safe place to fail. We expect the Scouts, especially in the Scouting BSA program, but to a certain extent, even in Cub Scouts, they're going to be trying things out. They're not going to get that skill right the first time. They might be trying to lead a group of Scouts for the first time and having a really hard time herding those cats. We adults have a hard time herding those cats. And this is a way for them to figure this out by doing it. This is a wonderful experiential learning opportunity for all the Scouts who are part of it. We do expect them to fail in a safe way, to have the support they need to learn from that, and to get better at it by practicing by doing. So a very powerful program, giving those practical skills to them, learning how to live this way. So a bit of a just kind of operational focus here. BSA works in this way. Packs and troops are owned and operated, administered by community-based organizations such as Emmanuel, whose objectives and so forth are compatible with the BSA. BSA issues annual charters, which we're actually just about to get again from National for our units. And our local council is National Capital Area Council. NCAC provides a lot of resources to the units, the scouting program, the literature, training, and support. For example, there is something called University of Scouting that many of the leaders will be going to. This year it'll be virtual, but a chance for the leaders to learn, how do I manage troops? How to do high adventure? How do I teach the kids how to do cooking more effectively? A lot of very practical, how to be a leader skills are provided by the local council. And again, I mentioned before our role as a chartered organization in just providing that tactical day-to-day support that I know that the units are very appreciative for. A bit more on kind of the organization piece. Just to direct your attention to the one on the left, it's about the Cub Scout Pack, but it holds true for all the units. The chartered organization designates a core or chartered organization rep. They work closely with the PAC committee. That PAC committee is led by the committee chair, and that committee kind of again operates the whole program. There is a Cub Master or a Scout Master in the case of a Scout troop who really leads the program delivery. They often have many assistant Cub Masters, assistant Scout Masters. And then in the case of a Cub Scout Pack, you have adult leaders who are serving as the den leaders for the different age groups within Cub Scouts. On the boys troop and girls troop side, you have a similar structure, but underneath the Scout Master, you would see that it is Scout led. So the people who are responsible for doing the delivery to the troop is a senior patrol leader. That would be a youth leader who's elected by their peers to run the program day to day. They're running everything down in the bottom part of that org chart. It's pretty impressive. It's a big challenge. And again, they'll be good. They will be bad. They'll be indifferent. They'll figure it out. And with the help of Steve and the many other leaders, it really is a fantastic opportunity for the boys and girls to figure out what it means to lead, how to, if they want to go on a caving trip, well, they need to figure out how to make that trip happen. The adults are there for safety, for coordination, and for making the calls. If we need to sign a legal form that they can't, we'll do that for them. But they're setting up the whole event. They're planning it, they're staffing it, they're assigning roles, they're figuring out the cooking and camping rosters. All that stuff comes into play. You have folks who are scouts who are managing smaller groups called patrols. Again, a lot of opportunities, and there are about a dozen other roles that people can play in terms of, webmaster and so forth. So that's one of the key differences, but key similarities as well in the Cub Scouts and Scouting BSA. A lot of support from volunteers. That makes us absolutely happen, and we are so grateful for all the parent volunteers who step up, volunteer their time to make these programs possible. The good news is for the Cub Scouters on the phone here, you'll love it when you move to Scouting BSA because you'll be able to breathe fresh air. You'll be there, but the way you're there is very different. Now the scouts are leaning forward. Now the scouts are running the program, and the adults are there again for safety and logistical support where needed. That scout-led program is the hallmark of what makes Scouting BSA so successful in graduating Eagle Scouts. Just a quick poll of the audience. Any questions so far, or any comments perhaps from the scouting leaders we have on?
On the chart, it looks like that, the boy troop and the girl troop is pillared, but in reality, they really interact, right?
That's correct. So yeah, they are distinct troops. There is a girl senior patrol leader and a boy senior patrol leader, and they both manage their own organizations. As you see here, they do often do things together, and it's up to the SPLs to determine when, how, and whether they do things together. They might camp separately. They might choose to have a weekly meeting together. It's all up to them. Very good. So, and that was a nice segue where I'm going to talk a little bit about the Girls Troop 987. Starting in February of 2019, Boy Scouts of America made its long-standing Boy Scout program available to girls through their own same-gender troops. It's the same Scout program that's been around forever, is now available for both boys and girls. It is meant to help them deliver fun. Sometimes that phrase, fun with a purpose, you might hear. It is focused on outdoor adventure, character and leadership development, and growth toward Eagle Scout. And I'll talk in a moment about some of the fantastic work the program has done for Eagle Scouts. We, as a chartering organization, supported the linked troop model. And that means that there's one committee that manages both the boys troop and the girls troop. It kind of simplifies things, and also it lets you share more resources. Frankly, it means there's also less work for the parent volunteers to do because you're getting some efficiencies of scale. It's important to note that the Scouts BSA program for girls is distinct from the Girl Scouts, which is its own awesome but unaffiliated program for girls' leadership development. So again, it's great that there are so many programs that are available for kids these days. Also, we're proud here of what's happening with the girls troop for Scouts BSA. And we'll be talking more about that here in just a moment. So let's talk about what we've done together. Over the course of being around, more than 100 boys, more than 100 boys have achieved Eagle Scout, which is BSA's highest rank. This is a pretty substantial thing. It still, to this day, is recognized in profound ways in terms of getting an edge in your career, in terms of being seen as a leader, in terms of being recognized as someone who supports fairness and kindness and helping out for the community and being a good citizen. It even gives you, I think, 1 or 2 rank boosts if you were ever to join the military. I mean, it's that big of a deal that that accounts for things like that. In addition to those 100 boys who've achieved, more than 100 who've achieved Eagle Scout, probably 1,000, if I had to guess, maybe more, hundreds and hundreds of local youths have benefited in other ways separate from Eagle Scout, from just being a part of the program. Again, Eagle Scout is not for everyone. About 4% of all of the scouts who enter will get it. So just doing the math here, if 100 boys equals 4%, again, you're talking many, many other scouts who just benefited from having fun with friends, learning what it means to lead, learning how to do some practical life skills, how to be a good citizen. We get hundreds of service hours through the Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA every year. Scouting for Food raises, last year, 300,000 pounds of food were collected in the DC area for that. Multiple Eagle projects. Again, those are Scout-run, Scout-led initiatives where they're showing that they can pull together a major service initiative. We've helped at Emmanuel before. One of the things that I think I'm very proud of as an Emmanuel member is that we were one of the first and few in the National Capital Area Council to take up the offer that Scouting BSA had for this program for girls. We've helped found Girls Troop 987, and by being an early adopter, we're already seeing the fruits of that. One of the first female Eagle Scouts in the USA came out of our troop, and how cool is that? More to come. We have an active girls troop, and it's fantastic that we're seeing this opportunity being extended to our to female youth who'd like to be a part of the Scouting BSA program. And I'd like to point out that success with the girls troop is again due to Emmanuel stepping up and saying, yes, we as a chartered organization want to embrace this opportunity for young women. It was due to the leaders in the troop saying, yes, we want to have a sibling unit that we help with. It was due to the youth in the boys troop. We had a number of boys step up in a temporary basis and act as trainers and guides to help the girls troop who didn't have that senior leadership cadre because they were just formed, figure out how to do something. So it was a fantastic collaborative effort. And in the same way, we have a girls troop helping boys troop with some of their events now. They're fantastic organizers. So it's just really neat to see the Scouts figuring these things out together. One of the other ways that Emmanuel's tactically been supporting our Scouts is we just recently heard from Council that they've approved trailers for the units, which is great. So we'll have these sheds on wheels to help the Scouts house their gear. It's fantastic that they have the gear they have. This lets the Scouts check out a tent or have a whole patrol-sized cooking apparatus. I know that the Cub Scout Pack has their Pinewood Derby stuff we'll be talking about in a moment, and other things that, I mean, these things take up some space. And we found out a way to make this work in a way that would support the Scouts, that there are security measures in place, the liability insurance protects us as a church. We'll be helping the Scouts with all the paperwork on these things. So good, just another great example of how we're working together to foster this mission. So what I'd like to do now is kind of get off the stage for a bit and turn things over to some of our adult leaders. We have Brian on. Brian, I have both of the videos teed up. I was thinking I could maybe tee things up by showing the overview video and maybe a little bit of the Pinewood Derby video, and then turn it over to you to take some questions or talk through some highlights, if that works for you.
Sounds like a plan.
Great, let me see if I can get that going here. Hold on just a moment. I'm not sure if the audio is coming through from the video, but enjoy the video. Just some nice music. Great. That was a fun overview video. And again, thank you very much to the pack and to Eunice Wang, who was the parent behind that. Some fantastic things happening in our Cub Scout pack. And Brian, I can tee up maybe the first couple minutes of the Pinewood Derby video from this year, if you want to give a preamble about that.
Yeah, sure. Wow, it's been a busy couple of months for us, but the we had the Pinewood Derby 2 weeks ago. And it was an awesome event for the pack. Anyone who's been through Cub Scouting knows this is one of the highlights for the Scouts. There was some uncertainty whether we would be able to host it this year. But we were able to pull it off. The Wi-Fi at the church worked flawlessly, and we had lots of happy scouts. And even kind of unexpectedly, we had a focus on the scouts for the Pinewood Derby. But one of the unique things, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? It was one of the unexpected things was the benefit of participation of many of the family members who are dispersed across the country, not able to normally participate. So we had grandparents from Chicago, from Philadelphia, and in fact, we had our first international Pinewood Derby because we had one of our scouts is from the UK, and his grandparents were in the UK and got to join us this year for the Pinewood Derby. So that was, we talk about Cub Scouting being family scouting. And normally we think about the, parent child family, but it was super cool this year that we were able to have grandparents included in the fun as well. So a bit of a unexpected bonus, unanticipated bonus of this year's Pinewood Derby.
Absolutely. And we're excited to see that. Some of you might recognize the fellowship hall in the background here. Let me know if you want me to play the first couple of minutes of this to give folks a flavor of Pinewood Derby, Brian, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Hello, everyone. All right. Now, today we have our Pinewood Derby, and I'll go over some of the rules for our Pinewood Derby. 1, your car can't weigh more than 5 ounces. No adding extra weight to your car, or you'll be disqualified. Rule number 2, you have to have 4 wheels. They don't all have to touch the track. Okay? And rule number 3, you can't change how far the wheels are apart. Okay, they got to be right where they are, right where the axle holes are. All right, those are our rules.
Mr. Matt, I don't think the cars are listening to you.
Three, 2, 1.
So you all get a sense of, look at the work that went into making this Pinewood Derby happen virtually. Congrats to you, Brian, and the whole pack. What a cool event with 3 camera angles, no less. Jeez. So thanks for bringing that home and away for the Scouts. Again, making things happen despite COVID. Scouts have as a motto, be prepared, and really glad to see the creativity of making this keystone event of Cub Scouts happen this year, and appreciate Emmanuel making that possible.
All right, I have a question though. Was that a GoPro put on one of the cars or something following the other ones?
Yes. So I can answer that. Yes. One of the things this year with the Pinewood Derby is we didn't have the kid to manage the kids, and so some of us adults might have gotten a little carried away playing with the track. And we definitely tapped into some of the parents with special skill sets, and one of them is he's a videographer for the State Department, and he's like, I can put a GoPro on the car, we can do all. I'm like, okay, you're filming the event. So we had the live stream going, and then we had the cameras, 2 cameras set up, so we could record the event and play it back. So yeah, it was a GoPro, and it was very well done, and we were very fortunate to have that parent step up and help us.
Yeah, that's very cool to be able to add those kind of graphics to it. Really, I assume kind of raised up the level of what you were able to do.
Yeah, it definitely raised up the bar for next year.
Every year though, it gets higher and you guys meet it. So that's awesome. Brian, welcome. Any other thoughts you have around things that happened this year that you're proud of, or any questions from the audience for our Cub Scout leader?
I'll just say, I think, I've been extremely proud of the work we've done this year. It's obviously been challenging. But we've managed to accomplish so much. And our parents have just stepped up to put together really dynamic programming for the kids. We managed to even squeak in a camping trip in the fall when the size limits were higher. We had to make some modifications. People normally in Cub Scouting, when we have our camping trips, it's we cook for the group. This year families had to do their own cooking, but we pulled it off. As you mentioned, Ted, one of our favorite service projects is scouting for food. And again, the kids really and the parents really stepped up, again, meeting size requirements and keeping the sizes. I think at that time it was below 20. But it's an outdoor activity and it's naturally socially distant, and the kids did awesome. We had a whole trailer full of food that we delivered to a local food pantry. I'm trying to think what else. And then I think the other thing that we've really done this year is focus on our monthly pack meetings, which are pack meetings are the meetings where we bring the kids together from all the age groups from K through 5. And we've put together a really good program this year. We kicked off with a magic show at our first pack meeting. We've had rocket building led by our Cub Master, Mr. Matt, who's a rocket geek, and he wears that badge with honor. We had online bingo for scouting prizes, which was a huge hit. And the scouting prizes were a lot of building stuff, so the kids got additional activities to do with their families and by themselves in their downtime. And we're fortunate and blessed with a parent who teaches pottery at Madison High School. So we took full advantage of her generosity to teach the kids a lesson in making pinch pots. And she will fire them up in the kiln, or she fired them up in the kiln. And next month, the kids are going to be building we're going to have a lesson in the history of victory gardens and victory gardening, but we're going to do a COVID twist on it. And they're going to be making COVID gardens because everyone has lots of time. And so they're going to be able to plant their seeds in their little pots that they made. So awesome. That's kind of some of the program we've done this year. It's been, again, it's been the parents and the support, and honestly, the kids have been awesome. And, they've got this whole online thing figured out inside and out and navigating it, and they're masters of meeting with their dens and their packs. And it's been a positive experience for everyone.
That's great. Thank you so much, Brian. And certainly the support that the Cub Scout program has had to, again, more than 40 some odd Cubs, all their families. Again, Cub Scouts is very much family camping oriented, family focused. So great way to bring the whole family together to spend time with their son or daughter and to make these great things happen.
I was just going to ask Brian, what food pantry do you take your food to?
Oh, I should have been better prepared now. I'm going to forget.
No, that's all right.
I'm sure Russ can probably answer this for me. I wasn't in charge of the drop-off this year, so I forget what food pantry. If you give me a second, I can figure it out.
The locations really, in some respects, isn't important. Jim Frame is on the phone call today, and we are constantly collecting food, and I was just thinking, as we try to look at our interconnections between the Scouts and Emmanuel, that we may want to communicate more about when we need food and when we're collecting food as another alternative for you, or an additional thing of food collection. I don't know if June can speak to that better than me, since she's in charge of that sort of thing, but the Invite, Welcome, and Connect Committee of Emmanuel, the Scouts is a major focus for us this year, and we're looking at ways in which we can interconnect and be closer to one another in activities. And I just thought this is one of many that we probably can identify where we might have closer communication and be helpful to you and you helpful to us.
That's a great idea, Roy. Yeah, for sure. And certainly I'll be working closely with Roy's team to help capture these ideas, figure out which ones we might be able to action together, and also work kind of the coordination piece. It might be helpful, for example, when we know the scouts are going to be going and doing a major service project, to let the congregation know if there's a way that they might want to participate or get the word out themselves. So a lot of opportunity for us to figure those things together, and I'll help work that liaison. I want to transition over just to give our Scoutmaster from the boys troop a chance to talk a bit. Again, a fantastic program there. We just rechartered with 80 youth and 33 adults in the boys troop, 11 youth and 10 adults in the girls troop, and some really interesting activities going on. I want to hand it over.
Indoor skydiving.
So
That's a picture. Down.
That's right. Yeah. So I have a video I can play here, Steve, if you'd like me to get that going first.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's like ice. Here.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for your attention on that. Steve, glad to turn things back to you for comments.
Sure. Thanks, Ted. So what's really neat about that video is that that was 2020 in review. And as we all know, most of 2020 was conducted under COVID restriction of a variety of restrictions, but nonetheless, it's a real testament to what the youth leaders, our adult leaders, and Emmanuel Lutheran were willing to support this past year. Russ and I both wear a couple of hats within the scouting community, and some of them are at the district level. And so through that, we have a broader view of what's going on in scouting throughout the capital area and also nationally. And I can tell you from that exposure that he and I both have witnessed many different outcomes in scouting programs as a result of the pandemic. And Troop 987 and also Pack 987 are both really outstanding examples of what's happened nationally and what was possible nationally. There were many units, which is what in scouting we call troops and packs and so on. There are many units across the country that didn't do anywhere near the amount of activity some went completely dark. The guidance from BSA nationally this past year was mostly, up until November, was mostly do what your state law requires, and of course what your charter organization is comfortable with. And so we had plenty of units across the nation that, unfortunately were in a situation where they couldn't find a way to get comfortable operating safely under their state's guidelines. And so they more or less went dark, or they went completely virtual. And as you saw from all the smiles in that video there, our youth were really, really appreciative of the fact that they could get out, get together, and continue doing some form of a scout program. And for that, we have both Emmanuel Lutheran to thank for allowing us to do that. And then also the adult and youth volunteers for putting together, basically inventing a way to do scouting activity in a way that's compliant with the regulations that we face. I've also had, this is really important to note, that I've also had adults of scouts, parents of scouts that we've in our troop and in other units approach me and really express a lot of gratitude and appreciation for the fact that we did press on and have some form of an in-person program this past year. And what they have noted is that the impact on their child's social, emotional, psychological mindset was tremendous. In some cases, parents reported to me that this, our weekly meetings, which we did socially distanced, but in person for a lot of the year, were really a bright spot in their son or daughter's week. And I think that alone is worth every ounce of effort we put into this year. Nationally, we've all seen the reporting of the impact COVID has had on youth and their development. And it just feels very good to be able to provide an opportunity for our youth to have some form of normalcy and also some form of social interaction. And the fact that we can do it within the guardrails of the scouting program just makes it that much better. Ours is a program that's designed to be conducted in a classroom in the woods. And we do our best to simulate woods as much as we can, even if it's just locally on the campus of Emmanuel Lutheran is good enough for us. That's a big step up from behind a Zoom camera. So we're really a huge debt of gratitude from all of us as adult leaders and parents to Emmanuel Lutheran for, as our charter organization, authorizing us to put a program together. And again, we couldn't have done it without the adult volunteers who invented this on the fly. This past year, we had 2 summer camps of our own. When all the summer camps that were offered ended up being canceled, we put 2 of our own together. We were able to offer merit badges during those. We were able to do socially distanced camping. So 1 scout per tent, no sharing of tents, no sharing of food, things like that. We managed to pull it off. And the other thing that's really interesting is that the youth in our programs understood, and we communicated this to them intentionally, but they really took it to heart that we can only do this for so long as we do it safely and properly, right? And we're given an opportunity here to make something enjoyable out of what is otherwise really constricting, right, and confining. And if we do it properly and we follow the rules and we agree to stick to a safety plan, we can keep on doing this. And they really took that very seriously and they acted accordingly. And we had 0 incidents of any kind of health related issues or problems, or, it was really quite impressive. So yeah, that's been the big takeaway from 2020 is that our units have really excelled. And that's, again, not just in the neighborhood, so to speak, but nationally, really exemplary programs, given what we had to deal with. The other thing that Ted mentioned about our earlier in his presentation about our troop focusing on youth leading, very definitely true. One thing that you'll notice if you sort of look around at even neighboring, but all across the nation, the way each troop has its own personality and each troop functions differently. Scouting for boys and girls when they get to the Scouts BSA program, so after Cub Scouting, what was formerly Boy Scouts, is really meant to be youth-led. We use what's called the patrol method. And the idea is that we really do want our youth to take the lead and for it to be their program. As their adult leaders, we're here first and foremost to ensure safety and make sure that safety protocols are followed. We're a backstop, we maintain the guardrails, things like that. But we're also mentors. And so, as Ted said, we want to create a controlled environment, a safe environment in which the youth can lead, in which they can fail, and learn from both while they're doing it. And we have really, it's folks will sometimes talk about how, we joke about scouting being 1 hour per week, which is the pitch that's given to most adult volunteers. And it's, the chuckle is, an hour per week per kid. And you know what, it's so worth it. We're fortunate to have, my own humble estimation, looking at our troop anyway, not one dud in the bunch. I mean, this really is a superb group of young people. And they've really excelled. They've really taken pride in what they do, both for themselves and for their team, for their unit. And I emphasize that with them, that they are part of a team and that they should be advancing together, and supporting each other as if they were truly a unit of youth. And so it's just been really impressive. They're doing a great job in spite of what's going on. As Ted mentioned, we're proud to have one of the first, if not the first. The thing about this is the first female Eagle Scout in the country. One of the things that scouting did was that there was a day, which was the very first day that any female who had joined Scouts BSA could make Eagle Scout, because there are certain time requirements and so on in progressing through the ranks. And so Katie Hunter, who's in our girls troop, made Eagle that day. So if she's not the first, she's one of the first who made it on the first day. Scouts BSA has decided not to focus on who was first, but to focus on the class of those who were first over a multi-month period. Okay, I mean, again, Katie was able to do it in the minimal amount of time possible, which is a tribute to her effort and enthusiasm, and also that the fact that her troop could facilitate that. Some troops can't, so as eager as the kid might be, they can't get it done in time or as fast. So I kind of appreciate the concept that they have a first class, but nonetheless, we still smile and we know that Katie was first. So point of pride for us. So in any case, it's just a really solid group. And I think everybody on the call here should be really proud to be part of it, and continue to watch our youth as they run the program. Not every program in the area operates with as much focus on youth leadership. Some have more adult leadership, and that's true all around the country. But the personality, if you will, that we've chosen to adopt is to really push the youth to lead, and again, to fail. That happens. But we really want them to embrace this as their program. And so we feel like we do that, and it's working so far. So we'll keep on keeping on.
Absolutely.
I'll pause there for questions or comments.
That's great, Steve. And if I might just tee up here briefly, one of our videos that was Scout led. So the girls troop pulled this next one together. So from their cell phones.
What I like about Troop 997 is that the way that everyone is involved and the way we work on our targets together. I find that the older staff are very supportive, and I like all of the activities we do, like hikes, campouts, and Eagle Scout projects. Troop 987 is great.
My name is Katie Hunter, and my favorite part about scouting is that all the girls in our troop get to pick and plan all of the fun events we go on, whether they be campouts or going to see a museum or anything like that. We always get to pick, and we get opportunities to lead and plan where we're going.
That was great.
Hi, I am the SPL of Girls Troop 97. My name is Victoria Spafford. And one thing that I really love about this troop is that all the girls push each other to get to the next step towards Eagle. The parents are also a really big help. So thank you all for joining us and watching this video of all the fun things that we've been through. And we have so many more to come. So thank you all for supporting us.
That's great. And since Chris isn't with us today to brag on the girls, he's their scoutmaster. So I'll do a little bit of it for him, but it's really been impressive to watch the girls engage across the entire district and council for those units that have engaged girls in their program. They are super motivated, and they're real go-getters with this. Some of that may be, you know, the first adopters of the program are the most motivated. Some of it may be related to the way in which girls and boys mature differently as they grow. But I'll tell you something, they are a force to be reckoned with. They have really done a tremendous job in the program, and really have excelled in every direction that's offered to them through the program. So that's really neat to see.
Absolutely. It's amazing, amazing young women being supported by an amazing program and Emmanuel. At this time, I defer to Pastor Lydia, but we're glad to take questions as we have time here.
I just want to say, Steve, that I don't think we can ever underestimate the value of what you provided in regard to the mental health of youth during this pandemic. We're going to see a major issue, I think, in the future of what has gone on over the past year, and your contribution cannot be understated. I just thank you for the many things that you evidently did, because I think it's so important to the mental health of our youth of today. We're seeing too many problems in this regard. There is not time, Ted, to discuss this, and we'll probably have another meeting with a group of people, but I'm very interested in how Emmanuel can be more integrated into God and Country badges. I believe there's a specific category called God and Country. And I believe that Emmanuel should step up and be more supportive in those badges in any way that you all see fit. And so I hope to have that discussion in the future in this regard.
Thank you very much, Roy. And thanks to Brian, Steve, Chris, Matt, Nancy, all the adult leaders who are making these programs work safely and to help the mental health and development of our kids during this time. Other questions from our membership?
Yeah, I got one, Ted. First of all, I want to say thank you to all you guys who are Scout leaders, because having watched what Scout leaders do, it is amazing, and I no doubt that every single one of you guys are putting in so much time and effort, and that it makes such a difference, to the kids that are going through this stuff. I've seen it firsthand. I got a son who was in scouting and got his Eagle Scout, and also had daughters in Girl Scouts, and so I do have one question, relative to the Girl Scouts side of it. But before I do that, I also want to make sure, before I lose my voice here and turn it over to anybody else, but I want to thank Ted too, because I think we're on a great path with Ted acting as a charter organization representative. As Roy said, we've got a lot of interest in trying to even have a better relationship than we have in the past, to figure out things that we can do to help the Scouts along the way, and accomplish that integration in a very productive manner. And Ted's being very, very excellent in terms of his preparation and communication and brainstorming with Roy and his team. So I'm just enthusiastic about what happens next. But the question about the Girl Scouts. So I am interested about what the relationship might be between Girl Scouts of America and BSA, and because I know sometimes that nationally organizations aren't always thrilled when traditional male based groups expand offerings to girls and to women, and they see it as competition. Now I think we all know the experience is totally different between what they get from the two organizations. So I think it's great that girls get the opportunity to choose what works for them. But I just haven't been paying attention to what's happening at the national level and at the local community level. Is there strife, or is there working together?
It depends on who you talk to, Bob. So Scouts BSA has faced several lawsuits from Girl Scouts of America. Some of that has to do with things as simple as the use of the two words together, girl and scout, which obviously is the trademarked name of their program. Scouts BSA doesn't attempt to use Girl and Scout as a program name. We don't want to, we don't need to, but at the same time, often out of people's mouths will come the two words with lowercase letters, you know, the Girl Scouts, meaning the females in the unit. So there's been some legal issues on that. You probably also heard, at least in the news at some point along the way, the response we got from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My family was in Southern California when the decision was made to allow females into scouting. The Mormons have been huge supporters of scouting nationally for a long time now. And the final straw for them with regard to the changes to the Scout program was the admission of females to the program. And they wholesale decided to leave the program and decided that they would set up their own program within the confines of the Mormon Church. That is something similar to Scouts, but they had objected to various different changes in the Scout programs that you would put into sort of the inclusion bucket over the years. And the latest one of including girls was for them the last straw. So that was a big loss for scouting in general, because there were a lot of scouts and a lot of adult leaders who came to us from the Mormon community. So that's one place we've seen it. I would say that locally and regionally, the Girl Scouts are still strong. They offer a solid program, and they'd be happy to go toe to toe with any Scout BSA leader to argue the merits of their program versus our program. I think they're great. From my perspective, any kid who gets involved in either one of them is going to benefit. So we don't try to compete. We don't try to poach. We think we offer a superior product. But then again, that's what's better for a youth is really highly subject to how that youth is built, right? And what they're looking for. So if the Girl Scouts offer something that is more compelling and appealing to them, that's way better than having a kid who disengages from any activity because we don't offer what they want. Mm-hmm. So from our standpoint, we're happy to all play happily in the same sandbox. But then again, we're the ones who added a whole lot of terrific scouts, and they're the ones who have lost a whole lot of terrific scouts. So I understand why they might not be as enthusiastic about this as we are.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Steve. And Russ, I wonder if you have any thoughts.
Sure. Well, and as BSA will tell you, the reason that they added female scouting is they've been asked for years by families. The family goes to a scouting event, and the young girl has to sit off to the side and read a book or do something else. They wanted to participate. They also wanted to do the same activities their brothers were doing, earning merit badges and making baskets and building fires and doing all those things. So eventually it certainly came about. And as Steve said, the girls are very good at it. They are gung-ho, going toe to toe, if not even rushing ahead of some of the boy activities that we have. So they do embrace some of those kinds of things that may be different than what they would get in the other types of programs. There are times we do have joint activities, not all that often, but for example, there is an event we call Flags In that happens twice a year, where flags are put on the graves of veterans at the Memorial Park in Falls Church. And it's not uncommon at all to see Girl Scouts and daisies and brownies and others there with the Boy Scouts and the Venturers and others joining together. So I think both organizations support the community well and have their places, and we're glad to be able to participate in this program and don't view it as a competition. It's just a good thing for our youth to choose what's best for them.
Great, thank you. Other questions at this time?
I want to thank you all too. Can you hear me?
Yes, June.
Hi, Ted. I just wanted to thank, there's a Steve and a Russ and a Ted, and I just want to thank you. When they're Matt in there somewhere too, the Derby, when he involved with that at Emmanuel. Yep. I look forward to seeing what we can do to work better with you all in your endeavors with youth. I know we have the youth group at Emmanuel, and I have worked with them. The outreach team has worked with them, but perhaps not enough. And then this gives us another opportunity to do what maybe some of your youth would like to do to help Emmanuel. We can be glad to talk about that whenever you have time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, and thank you, Juna. It's a
Yeah.
great way for us to mention that this is the beginning of ways for us to continue the conversation, even though our time here in this session is drawing to a close. My contact information is up on screen. If you have a question, a feedback, whatever it might be about something Scout related for the Scouts BSA or Cub Scouts, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to see, how we might work something, have a dialogue, do something together with the units and vice versa. From the units perspective, I'm trying to make sure we bring the right Emmanuel support to bear. So with that in mind, I think that is our time for today, but more to come for sure. Pastor Lydia, I wonder if there's a closing prayer or any remarks as we conclude here.
Just to, we'll pray in 1 second, but just another quick reminder about how there's no drive-through communion today. And we've moved it to tomorrow night. Some of you were here when I was talking about this as well. Tomorrow night, it'll be, I think, 5:30 to 7:30, and then we're hopeful to continue it as well on Ash Wednesday from noon to 1 and 4:30 to 6:30. And that will be drive-through communion plus like a little kit for Ash Wednesday. And if you need a book for the book study, yes, that's Tuesday night. I don't remember what I said, but yes, we've moved. So it's not tomorrow night. We moved our communion from today to Tuesday night. So you'll have lots of opportunities to get communion, to get a little kit for Lent. So there'll be like some Lent devotions that you can do through the season of Lent. You can get your ashes, which will be self-distribution during our one Ash Wednesday streamed service at 7 p.m. That's a lot, but hopefully we'll continue to remind you all the ways that you can get communion ashes and all the things you need for Lent. And with that, we let us pray. The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Holy God, we give you thanks for the gift of technology that we can safely gather and to hear all the amazing ministries that are happening in our building here in Emmanuel. And we pray that you can continue to strengthen these partnerships with the Scouts so that we can mutually benefit one another and to play off our strengths and to work together even better in the future. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Great.
Thank you so much to everyone for coming and listening. I know I had so much fun learning about all of this stuff, but I'm also brand new, but I hope you all did as well. And thank you so much to all of the leaders who shared so much with us. Have a great rest of your day and be safe.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Good to meet you guys. Thank you.
Bye.